Alex Carter stared out at the endless stretch of sand, his rifle resting against his shoulder. The desert was quiet today, too quiet. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other, trying to ignore the sweat trickling down his back under the heavy armor. It wasn't supposed to be like this. When he signed up, he imagined glory, bravery, and maybe even a chance to make a difference. Instead, here he was, standing guard at some forgotten corner of the world where nothing ever happened. Still no action. Emma Lewis asked as she approached, her voice soft but steady. She carried a medical kit slung over her shoulder, its straps digging into her uniform. Her blonde hair was tied back in a loose bun, strands escaping in the dry heat. Nothing. Alex replied with a sigh. Just wind and sand. Emma smiled faintly, though there was a hint of worry in her eyes. They had grown up together in a small town, dreaming of bigger things. Now they were stuck on the same godforsaken base, waiting for something, anything, to happen. But deep down, neither of them wanted trouble. Not really. The radio crackled suddenly, breaking the silence. Both turned their heads toward the sound, startled. Captain Ryan Holt's voice came through, sharp and urgent. All units, report to the command center immediately. This is not a drill. Alex exchanged a glance with Emma. Something about the tone of Holt's voice sent a chill down his spine. Without saying a word, they hurried toward the low concrete building that served as headquarters. Inside, the room buzzed with tension. Soldiers crowded around a large screen displaying images of Earth's orbit. A cluster of unidentified objects hovered near the atmosphere, glowing faintly against the blackness of space. "What are those?" someone muttered. "No idea," Holt answered grimly. "But we've detected movement. Whatever they are, they're heading closer to Earth." Murmurs rippled through the group. Some looked excited. Others seemed scared. Alex felt both. His heart pounded as he stared at the screen. Were these aliens, invaders, or something else entirely? Emma stepped forward, her brow furrowed. "Do we know if they're hostile?" Holt shook his head. "Not yet, but we can't take any chances. Orders just came in. We're deploying to investigate reports of unusual activity in Sector 7. Pack your gear. We leave in 30 minutes. As everyone scrambled to prepare, Alex pulled Emma aside. "What do you think?" he asked quietly. She hesitated before answering. "I don't know, but I have a bad feeling about this." He nodded, sharing her unease. For years, people had speculated about life beyond Earth, but now it felt too real, too close, and while part of him wanted to believe this could be humanity's moment to shine, another part, a deeper, darker part, feared what might come next. By the time they boarded the transport vehicles, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. As the convoy rolled out, Alex couldn't shake the image of those glowing objects in space. Whatever was coming, it would change everything, for better or worse, and all he could do was wait and see. The convoy rumbled through the desert, kicking up clouds of dust that glowed faintly in the moonlight. Alex sat stiffly in the back of the truck, his rifle resting across his lap. Beside him, Emma stared out into the darkness, her fingers nervously tapping against the strap of her medical kit. The air was tense, heavy with unspoken fears. No one knew what they were heading toward, but the thought of encountering something alien made it hard to breathe. When they finally reached Sector 7, the scene was surreal. Towering metallic structures jutted out of the sand like jagged teeth, their surfaces shimmering faintly as if alive. They looked ancient, yet impossibly advanced, and gave off a low hum that vibrated in Alex's chest. He exchanged a glance with Emma, who looked just as awestruck and uneasy as he felt. "Stay sharp," Captain Holt barked, his voice cutting through the eerie calm. "We don't know what we're dealing with here." The soldiers spread out cautiously, scanning the area for signs of movement. At first, everything seemed still, almost peaceful. But then Alex noticed something strange. A faint trail of greenish light, snaking along the ground near one of the structures. He motioned for Emma to follow him, and together they crept closer, weapons ready. Behind a pile of rubble, they found it, an alien creature lying wounded on the sand. Its body was unlike anything Alex had ever seen, part organic flesh, part crystalline shell, glowing faintly with an inner light. It didn't look dangerous, not in its current state, but Alex hesitated, unsure what to do. Emma knelt beside it, her medic instincts taking over. "It's hurt," she whispered, examining the wound carefully. "We should help it." "Are you crazy?" Alex hissed, glancing around nervously. "We don't even know what it is." "It's alive," Emma shot back, her voice firm despite the fear in her eyes. "If we leave it here, it'll die." Before Alex could argue further, shouts erupted from the distance. More aliens had arrived, tall, sleek figures moving with unnatural grace. Their bodies shimmered like liquid metal, and their faces were smooth and featureless except for glowing patterns that pulsed rhythmically. They surrounded the humans quickly, forming a tight circle. Captain Holt raised his hand slowly, signaling his team to stand down. "We mean no harm," he called out, though his voice wavered slightly. The aliens didn't respond, at least, not in any way the humans could understand. Instead, they emitted bursts of light and sound, flashing colors so bright they made Alex squint. The soldiers tightened their grips on their weapons, unsure whether to fight or retreat. Emma stood protectively over the injured alien, her heart racing. She wasn't sure why she cared so much about this strange being, but she couldn't let it be harmed. "They're trying to communicate," she said loudly, hoping someone would listen. "We need to figure out what they want." But the tension only grew thicker. One wrong move, one misinterpreted gesture, and things could spiral out of control. Alex stepped forward, raising his rifle slightly, not to threaten, but to show he was prepared. The aliens responded by intensifying their lights, bathing the entire group in blinding hues of red and blue. For a moment, it seemed like violence was inevitable. Then suddenly, the injured alien let out a weak pulse of light, catching everyone's attention. The other aliens froze, their glowing patterns dimming slightly. Slowly, they began to back away, leaving the humans alone with the wounded creature. "What just happened?" Alex muttered, lowering his weapon. "I don't know," Emma admitted, her voice trembling. "But I think they were testing us." As the alien figures disappeared into the night, the soldiers regrouped, shaken but alive. Whatever these beings were, they weren't simple monsters. And as Emma tended to the injured alien under the watchful eyes of her comrades, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was only the beginning of something far greater and far more complicated than anyone had imagined. Back at the makeshift camp, Emma worked tirelessly to care for the injured alien. She wasn't a scientist or an expert on extraterrestrial life, but she knew enough about biology to understand that its wounds needed immediate attention. The creature's crystalline shell seemed to pulse faintly with each passing moment, as if it were alive in ways humans couldn't fully comprehend. Alex stayed close by, keeping watch while trying to make sense of what they had just witnessed. The other soldiers weren't as calm. Some argued loudly about whether helping the alien was a good idea. "What if it's dangerous?" one of them snapped, pacing near the edge of the tent. "We don't know what it's capable of." "It's hurt," Emma replied sharply, not looking up from her work. "If we don't help it, we're no better than animals." Alex stepped between them, his voice firm. "Enough. Let Emma do her job. We'll figure out the rest later." Despite his words, Alex shared their unease. The alien's presence felt like a ticking time bomb. Every flicker of light from its body made him wonder if it was trying to communicate or preparing to attack. He glanced at Emma, who seemed completely focused on the task at hand. Her determination was admirable, but it also worried him. What if she got too close and something went wrong? As hours passed, the alien began to respond to Emma's efforts. Its glowing patterns shifted slowly, almost like it was expressing gratitude. Emma smiled faintly, feeling a strange connection to the creature despite their vast differences. Maybe they're not here to fight us, she said softly, more to herself than anyone else. Maybe they're scared, just like we are. But not everyone shared her optimism. Captain Holt called a meeting to discuss their next steps. This situation is getting out of control, he said, rubbing his temples. We need answers, and we need them fast. If these aliens are hostile, we have to be ready. Before anyone could respond, another soldier interrupted. Hostile? Sir, they attacked us first. You saw how they surrounded us back there. They didn't attack, Emma interjected firmly. They were confused, maybe even scared. We pointed our guns at them. We escalated things. The room fell silent. Alex looked around, seeing doubt and fear etched on every face. It was clear that trust was breaking down, both within the group and toward the unknown beings outside their camp. Later that night, tensions reached a boiling point. While most of the soldiers rested, a small group decided to take matters into their own hands. Believing the alien was a threat, they snuck into the tent where Emma had been watching over it. Alex heard the commotion and rushed in just as one of the men raised his weapon. What are you doing? Alex shouted, stepping between the gun and the alien. It's too risky to keep it alive. The man growled. We can't afford to wait and see if it turns on us. Emma appeared behind him, her expression fierce. You'll kill it over a guess. That's not who we are. The standoff lasted only seconds, but it felt like an eternity. Finally, Captain Holt arrived, ordering everyone to stand down. We don't make decisions based on fear, he said sternly. Not while I'm in charge. Though the immediate danger passed, the incident left a bitter taste in everyone's mouths. Trust was shattered, and paranoia began to creep in. The alien, sensing the shift in mood, grew restless, its lights flashing erratically. Emma tried to calm it, whispering soothing words even though she doubted it understood. That night, as Alex stood guard outside the tent, he couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. War, he realized, wasn't always fought with weapons. Sometimes it started with misunderstandings and ended with regrets. He glanced at the stars above, wondering if peace was still possible or if humanity had already crossed a line it couldn't uncross. The next morning, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The camp felt heavier, quieter, as if everyone was holding their breath. He noticed Emma sitting alone near the alien, her face pale and drawn. She hadn't slept much, he guessed, judging by the dark circles under her eyes. The alien's condition seemed stable, for now, but its faint glow had dimmed, and its movements were slower than before. Hey, Alex said softly, crouching beside her. How's it doing? Emma sighed, running a hand through her hair. Not great. I've done all I can, but I don't think it has much time left. Alex frowned, glancing at the creature. Its crystalline shell shimmered weakly, and its lights flickered like a dying flame. Do you think it's trying to tell us something? I don't know, Emma admitted, but every time I get close, it reacts, like it's trying to communicate. Before Alex could respond, Captain Holt approached, his expression grim. We've got trouble, he said. Command just sent another message. They're sending reinforcements, and they're not here to negotiate. What does that mean? Alex asked, standing up quickly. It means they want answers, Holt replied, and they're willing to use force to get them. Emma stood too, her voice rising with panic. Force? Against who? These aliens haven't done anything to us. That's not what Command thinks, Holt said, shaking his head. They believe the aliens are hiding something dangerous, and they're not taking any chances. Alex clenched his fists, frustration bubbling inside him. So we're just going to attack them, without even knowing why they're here. Holt hesitated, his usual confidence wavering. Orders are orders, soldier. We follow them. Later that day, Alex decided to dig deeper. While the others prepared for the arrival of reinforcements, He snuck into the communications tent. The equipment was old and clunky, but after some fumbling, he managed to access the files sent from command. What he found made his blood run cold. It wasn't just about the aliens. Humanity had known about their existence for years, decades even. Classified reports detailed experiments conducted on captured specimens, attempts to reverse engineer their technology. Worse still, there were memos suggesting this conflict had been deliberately provoked to test new weapons developed in secret labs. Alex staggered back, his mind reeling. He thought of Emma and her determination to help the alien, of the injured creature lying helpless in the tent. How could anyone justify this? It wasn't self-defense. It was manipulation, exploitation. He didn't have long to process it. As he turned to leave, Emma appeared in the doorway, her face pale. "What are you doing in here?" she asked sharply. "I needed to know the truth," Alex said, holding up the documents. "And now I do." Emma scanned the files, her hands trembling. When she finally looked up, tears filled her eyes. This is monstrous. "We have to tell the others," Alex said firmly. "They deserve to know." But when they confronted Captain Holt, his reaction wasn't what they expected. Instead of anger or denial, he looked defeated. "I knew bits and pieces," he admitted quietly. "But not all of it. Not until now." "So what do we do?" Emma demanded, her voice breaking. "Just sit back and let them destroy these creatures. After everything we've seen." Holt hesitated, then nodded slowly. "No, we don't. But if we're going to stop this, we'll need proof and allies. People who believe we can find another way." As the three of them began planning their next move, Alex felt a spark of hope amidst the chaos. Maybe the truth could still save them, or maybe it would only make things worse. Either way, one thing was certain. Humanity's greatest enemy wasn't the aliens. It was itself. The plan was simple but risky. Alex, Emma, and Captain Holt agreed to show the classified documents to the rest of the unit, hoping to rally support for a peaceful resolution. They couldn't fight command alone, but if enough soldiers sided with them, they might stand a chance. The problem was timing. Reinforcements were due to arrive within hours, and tensions in the camp were already high. When the group gathered in the center of the camp, Alex stepped forward, holding up the files. His hands shook slightly, but his voice was steady. "We need to talk about what's really going on here," he began. "These aliens aren't invaders. They're refugees, trying to escape something worse than us." Murmurs rippled through the crowd as Alex explained what he'd discovered. Some soldiers looked angry, others shocked, but a few seemed unmoved. One man stepped forward, his face flushed with frustration. "Even if that's true, it doesn't change the fact that they're dangerous. We don't know what they're capable of." Emma took a step closer, her voice calm but firm. "Yes, we do. I've spent days with one of them. It's scared, hurt, and just trying to survive. Like us. If we attack them without understanding why they're here, we're no better than the people who sent them running in the first place." For a moment, no one spoke. Then another soldier raised his hand hesitantly. "What do you want us to do?" "Refuse orders. That's mutiny. It's choosing humanity over fear," Alex said, meeting the man's gaze. "If we don't try, we'll never know if peace was possible." Captain Holt added his voice, his tone grave but resolute. "I didn't sign up to be part of a cover-up. If anyone wants to walk away, I won't stop you. But if you stay, we do this together." Slowly, reluctantly, the group began to nod. Not everyone agreed, but enough did to give them hope. As the meeting broke up, Alex felt a flicker of relief, but it was short-lived. Outside the tent, the aliens' lights had grown brighter, almost frantic. Emma rushed to its side, whispering softly, but nothing seemed to calm it. Then, disaster struck. A group of rogue soldiers, those who hadn't joined the rebellion, decided to take matters into their own hands. Under the cover of darkness, they launched an ambush on the alien encampment nearby. Gunfire erupted, followed by flashes of light as the aliens retaliated. Chaos spread like wildfire. Alex grabbed his rifle and ran toward the noise, heart pounding. He found Emma crouched beside the injured alien, shielding it with her body as blasts lit up the night sky. "We have to get out of here," he shouted over the din. "I'm not leaving it." Emma yelled back, tears streaming down her face. Before Alex could argue, the alien let out a final blinding pulse of light. For a split second, everything froze. When the glow faded, the creature lay still, its core dimmed completely. Emma collapsed beside it, sobbing uncontrollably. But the alien's sacrifice wasn't in vain. The burst of energy seemed to stun both sides, forcing a temporary ceasefire. In the silence that followed, Alex saw an opportunity. Standing between the humans and the remaining aliens, he shouted, "This is what war does. It kills innocents and leaves scars that never heal. Is that what we want?" His words hung in the air, heavy and raw. Slowly, weapons lowered on both sides. It wasn't peace. Not yet. But it was a start. As Alex helped Emma to her feet, he realized the hardest battles weren't fought with guns. They were fought in the hearts and minds of those willing to listen. The aftermath of the ambush left the camp in a state of uneasy calm. The alien sacrifice had forced both sides to pause, but the tension was still thick enough to cut with a knife. Alex stood at the edge of the encampment, staring out at the desert where the remaining aliens lingered cautiously. They hadn't attacked again, but their glowing patterns pulsed erratically, as if they were debating what to do next. Emma sat nearby, her face pale and streaked with dirt. She hadn't spoken much since the alien died, but her silence spoke volumes. Every time she looked at the spot where it had lain, her eyes filled with tears. Alex knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We'll make this right," he said softly. "Its death won't be for nothing." She nodded slowly, though doubt lingered in her expression. "Do you really think we can stop this? Stop them?" "We have to try," Alex replied firmly. "If we don't, who will?" Captain Holt joined them moments later, his usual stern demeanor replaced by something softer, regret, maybe, or determination. "Reinforcements are almost here," he said. "But so is help. I've been in contact with some higher-ups who agree with us. Scientists and diplomats. They're coming to mediate." Emma's head snapped up. "You mean there's hope?" "There's always hope," Holt said, though his tone suggested he wasn't entirely convinced. "But we need to hold the line until they arrive. That means keeping both sides from attacking each other." As the sun began to rise, casting long shadows across the sand, Alex noticed movement near the horizon. At first, he thought it was more soldiers arriving, but then he saw the insignia on their vehicles. It wasn't military. These were scientists and negotiators, just as Holt had promised. Relief washed over him, but it was short-lived. A group of rogue soldiers, still unwilling to back down, emerged from the opposite direction. Their leader, a man named Carter, one of the few who hadn't supported Alex's plan, stepped forward, his weapon raised. "You think you can just let these things walk away?" he shouted. "They're a threat, plain and simple." "They're not," Emma yelled, stepping between Carter and the aliens. Her voice trembled, but her resolve didn't waver. "They came here looking for safety, not war. If you attack now, you'll prove exactly what they feared. That humanity isn't worth trusting." Carter hesitated, glancing at his men. For a moment, it seemed like reason might win out, but then one of the aliens moved suddenly, its lights flashing brightly. Panic rippled through the rogue soldiers, and guns were raised once more. Before anyone could fire, Alex stepped forward, arms wide. "Stop," he shouted, his voice echoing through the tense air. "This isn't about revenge. It's about survival. Ours and theirs." Time seemed to freeze. No one moved. No one spoke. Then, slowly, Carter lowered his weapon. His men followed suit, though grudgingly. It wasn't a victory, But it was enough. For now. By the time the scientists arrived, the situation had stabilized. They worked quickly, setting up equipment to study the aliens' technology, while trying to establish communication. The aliens remained wary but allowed themselves to be approached, their lights dimming slightly as if acknowledging the effort. Emma stayed close, translating gestures and patterns as best she could. Though grief still weighed heavily on her, she found solace in knowing that Luma, the name she'd given the fallen alien, had given its life for a chance at peace. As the day wore on, Alex watched the scene unfold with a mix of hope and exhaustion. The road ahead would be long and difficult, but for the first time, he felt like they were moving in the right direction. War wasn't just about winning or losing. It was about finding a way forward, even when every step felt impossible. Weeks passed, and the desert slowly transformed into a place of cautious cooperation. The scientists worked tirelessly alongside the aliens, piecing together fragments of their language and technology. Emma became a bridge between the two species, her bond with Luma's memory driving her to ensure its sacrifice wasn't wasted. Though progress was slow, small breakthroughs began to emerge. The aliens' glowing patterns started to make sense. They weren't just random flashes but a form of communication, rich with meaning. Alex watched from a distance as Emma explained something to one of the taller aliens. Its crystalline shell shimmered faintly in response, almost like a nod. It amazed him how far they'd come since that first chaotic encounter. Back then, fear had ruled every decision. Now there was hope. Fragile, uncertain, but real. Captain Holt stood beside Alex, his arms crossed. "Never thought I'd see the day," he said quietly. "Aliens and humans working side by side. It's not perfect," Alex admitted, "but it's better than war." Holt nodded, though his expression remained thoughtful. "Still, we've got a long way to go. Trust isn't built overnight." He was right. Not everyone agreed with this new path. Some soldiers muttered about betrayal, convinced humanity was being too soft. Others argued that the aliens might still pose a threat. But for now, the fragile truce held. Reinforcements from command arrived eventually, but instead of weapons, they'd brought diplomats eager to continue negotiations. Emma spent most of her time helping the scientists decode the aliens' history. Through careful study, they learned why the creatures had fled their homeworld, a planet ravaged by environmental collapse and conflict. They hadn't come to conquer Earth. They'd come seeking refuge, hoping to start anew. The revelation struck a chord with many, including Alex. How could humanity turn away beings who were, in so many ways, like them? One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Alex found himself standing near the site where Luma had died. Emma joined him moments later, her face softer than it had been in weeks. "Do you think we'll ever truly understand each other?" she asked. "I think we're getting closer," Alex replied. "That's all we can ask for." The alien encampment glowed faintly in the distance, a reminder of how far they'd come, and how much work remained. But even amid the challenges, there was a sense of unity. For the first time, Alex felt like humanity wasn't alone in the universe. And maybe, just maybe, that wasn't such a bad thing. As days turned into weeks, Alex decided to leave the military. He couldn't return to the life he'd known before, not after everything he'd seen. Instead, he traveled across the country, sharing stories of what had happened in the desert. He spoke of Luma's bravery, Emma's compassion, and the choices they'd made when faced with fear. His words resonated with people, sparking conversations about empathy, trust, and the cost of misunderstanding. Emma stayed behind, dedicating herself to studying the aliens' culture and technology. She hoped to build a future where humans and aliens could coexist peacefully, learning from each other rather than fearing one another. Her work inspired others to join the effort, creating a coalition determined to prevent another tragedy. Though scars remained, both physical and emotional, the experience changed everyone involved. Alex often reflected on how much he'd learned about war, not as a series of battles, but as a test of humanity itself. Winning wasn't about dominance. It was about finding common ground, even in the darkest moments. And as he looked up at the stars one night, Alex realized something important. War didn't define humanity, it revealed it. Whether they rose above their fears or succumbed to them was always a choice. This time, they'd chosen to reach out instead of lashing out. And that, he believed, was worth fighting for.